Stay Sane with Jane, the show that helps you and your business to thrive, not just survive. Tune in each week as Jane connects with guests in the wellness, business and publishing worlds, bringing you the most up-to-date training, techniques, healing and guidance for growth, mindset and motivation. Each session includes a magical guided meditation led by Jane or one of her special guests. Here's your host, Jane Scanlan.
Hello and welcome to episode 32 of Stay Sane with Jane. And today we are talking to the wonderful and magical Ty Gold of New Earth Magic School. Hello. So Ty is a New Earth, Ascension and Abundance mentor. She's been trained and taught by her guides as a divine channel, psychic medium, empath and healer. She is self-sustaining and full-time in her soul ascension business, and that's been since 2017, which is, you know, amazing. As we're both mentors, we know how many health, wellness, spiritual, magical businesses out there are unfortunately not fully sustaining their owners, their guides, are they?
Yeah, exactly.
So tell the audience a little bit more about you, who Ty Gold is.
Thank you. I like to tell people I'm a mom first of 3 boys. When they were younger, they're all grown and out of the house now. When they were younger, I was a preschool teacher and a daycare administrator. So we kind of went to work and to school together through a lot of their childhood. And that's where I tapped into my fondness, my compatibility and interest in teaching. I'm also a world traveler. I love traveling. We talk about this a lot. And my most compatible soulmate showed up in my life in 2016. We're an international couple. We were long distance for a few years. And he gave me this beautiful last name that I love to use. It's so easy to pronounce. So he's been a wonderful addition into my life, and we got married in 2019, going through the immigration process. So I'm wondering if what you're hearing is the dangly earrings that I've chosen to wear today. Sorry.
That's okay. So we've known each other on the online space, but we had the magical opportunity to actually meet each other in person this summer, which is, it's amazing. I mean, the online space is such a wonderful, can be such a wonderful place because it connects souls from all over the globe. So we've been connected for how long did we work out?
Well, that's the thing. You and my husband were pretty closely connected. So I feel like when he came into my life in 2016, you were not that far behind. Within the year, I would say 2017 maybe. And going strong since then. And I haven't, I met him on the internet. I have a tendency to pull people out of the internet world and into real life, and we become, really good, solid friends. So I really enjoyed meeting you in person and going to your house, seeing where you live and the beach that you hang out at. It was just it was a heartwarming gift for me and a really great treat. I did it by myself. So I was being an explorer in a different country, and there are a lot of great things about it. And you're amazing. I have so much fun with you.
Thank you. We really did. We really did. So tell us a little bit how you got started in your field, because I know you had a pivotal moment, didn't you? And you started working with your guides. and it's, well, you tell us all about it.
I know that you've heard this story quite a few times. So prior to 2012, I'm just going to go ahead and take, I think, is it this one? I'm just going to take them out. Prior to 2012, I was like curious about the supernatural, but the only thing I could say that was like psychically weird about me was when I was a kid, I knew what people's past lives were. And yeah, and I was like a straight A student. I was in the gifted program, and at home, my home life was a disaster. It didn't actually make sense how well I was doing in school, how high functioning I was. Except for, I feel like, this divine connection. I didn't recognize it for what it was at the time. I just thought you just think it's the way you're wired. You just think it's the way you are. But when I went through my awakening process in 2012, which really kind of started in 10 or 11, I started meditating, and I started intentionally trying to connect with my guides and angels. My life was a bit of a mess, and I was looking for some help. And so I tried meditating, and there was a very pivotal moment in 2012, and I had released an addiction to pain pills and an overconsumption and unhealthy relationship with alcohol. And I just kind of begged the divine to help me. I begged the divine for help in my life because it had become messy and unmanageable. And I was very stressed about life, relationship, career, you name it. Lots of questions, and just fell asleep crying, asking for help. And I woke up the next morning and it sounded like a song going through my head, but it wasn't a song that I had ever heard before. So I got a pen and paper and I wrote it down, and it ended up being 8 pages of notes from my guardian angel. So yeah, so we established a relationship pretty early on. Her name's Hope, and I needed a lot of hope at that time. And so she gave me wisdom and profound insight that helped me release even more of the drama and the addictions and the behaviors, the unhealthy patterns. So they were the ones, because it started with a guardian angel and then the team expanded. I get to know each different team member and their different kind of fields of expertise. They taught me, you're an empath. This is what this means. This is a kind of self-care and protection. You're a medium. This is what this means. This is kind of the self-care and protection, or, how you can utilize this ability. Yeah. And I immediately shifted from being trained to being the trainer. They asked me to start sharing meditation workshops, and I slid into that easily because of my teaching background. So it was very easily to be taught and trained, apply it, and then go share and teach it. So the healing modalities, I didn't think that was real. I got to be honest with you. I didn't even know what hands-on healing was. I was a big skeptic. My guides would say, we want you to share this with people. I'd say, you got to prove to me that this is real. I don't believe you. Like, it was very difficult for me. So they would ask me to try things, and healing was one of them, energy medicine. And the first person I ever sent energy medicine to was in Australia. And when she told me she could feel it on her foot, I just couldn't. I was like, what? Like, this is real? Like, I couldn't. My brain was just... Yeah. So then from then on, the divine showed me how to help people with their past life stories, wounding patterns, the loops they get into, and then even down to recoding people's DNA with frequency shifts. So the combination that I share now is teaching healing guidance in everything that I offer. It has all of those. I had a very close connection with Creator Source God for about 2 years. I would say 2013 to 15. I was in class and receiving guidance, healing activations, morning, noon, and night for about 2 years. And that's where I have anchored in such a strong connection to Source. And I started learning about the new earth and was receiving guidance about new earth specifically. So the field that I tap into now is pretty expansive. And the most recent addition to who I'm communicating with and for and to has been the collective of these new earth mission businesses, empires,
Mm-hmm.
which, I channeled for the workshop that we did together.
Yes.
Yeah. So I would say, short answer, how I got started, meditation.
Yes.
It became my first talk was how meditation became my medication.
I love that.
That was the first seminar talk I ever gave. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I just love that story because it's so magical. It shows so much hope, and gives that clear transition between. I like to say that I was almost like unconsciously walking through life, and I was numbing as well, to then coming into the light and being mindful, being conscious. And when you're conscious, you can really, when you have things like alcohol. I didn't give up immediately. I stopped drinking like over 7 years ago now. And you can feel the difference in your abilities when you have I don't know, things like too much sugar, too much carbs, too much processed stuff, let alone alcohol, medication, drugs. It really does affect your healing and channeling skills.
Yeah, definitely. I preach about that quite a bit. What are you consuming? And I think what I've learned over the last decade or so is each of us have our own level of sensitivities. Like, for example, I can't eat red meat when I'm channeling. This was something that you and I talked about. And the divine told me very early on, like 2013, 14, when I started channeling God, they said, you're from this point on, you can't eat meat. And because I was so defiant and skeptical, I ate meat immediately.
Of course.
Immediately.
That's
I will not be told what to do.
Obviously.
I will not be told what to do. And I vomited everywhere because they don't go together. The high vibrations and frequencies I was channeling, the meat in my body, in my vessel, is too low a vibration, and there's a crash. So something's got to give. Yeah.
Wow.
So I always, I'm a huge advocate for water. It supports the Wi-Fi signal, and I've trained and mentored a lot of psychics and mediums, and the water intake definitely influences whether you're up and feeling supercharged, or you're down, or your capacity is low or spotty.
Yeah. Yeah, it certainly does. So we mentioned about you coming to UK. So you're doing your little tour, and you've been to Europe as well. And within that tour, we have created and done a 4-day workshop called Build and Expand Your New Earth Biz.
Yeah.
So that came through to both of us about working together, and it was a magical and divine led putting together, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Putting together the steps, what the workshop was going to look like, feel like, and who was going to come. So would you like to explain a little bit more about this gorgeous workshop series that we've produced?
Absolutely. I think it was a very fun play experiment for the two of us. At least from my perspective, we've never worked on anything together like that before, like building something and sharing something together, like a collaboration. So just from that standpoint, I had so much fun. It felt very free and it felt very flowy. And the reason why I want to mention this, not only is it great to work with you, but I feel like this is a signal a sign of what New Earth business building can be, you having that flow, that freedom, and that ease. And we were so compatible. And so I really want anyone who's thinking about collaborating with others, like really, when the system is right, it just fits. And it becomes this very unison operating organism. And I felt like that's how that flowed for us. You were coming from, a background for a signature program that you built some time ago in the last few years. Same for me with the New Earth Biz conversations. The divine said, we've taught you with this, we've trained you with this, you've embodied it, you've applied it. And I had spent some time teaching it privately and in Spirit Messenger Mastery with people. They said, now we want you to go out and share this in this workshop. And I feel like what we've created builds the bridge. If somebody wants to dial in on their business, whether it's in person or online, I think you'll get the most out of it if you're looking to segue into the online space.
Yeah.
But there's still so much in our blueprint that helps someone take it out of the 3D marketing and selling business structures and way of doing things and turning it into a heart-centered, divinely co-created New Earth with all of the systems, the equipment, the tech, all of that. So that's the way I would most succinctly describe it. The experience for me was lovely from start to finish. We call it a 4-part workshop series, but we really take people places in those 4 days.
It's a huge journey, isn't it? And I think the way it unfolded for ourselves and for the clients that have gone through it so far, it's taken them on this beautiful journey of really looking at how they've built their business. Do they need to adjust things? And they're expanding already. Even after the first day, there were major changes in these gorgeous souls' lives and businesses as well.
Yeah. And they're seeing the results in the clientele. They're seeing the results in the sales. They're seeing the results in the compatibility. So this is stuff that, like, I literally have goosebumps just talking about it. It just lights me up. So I'm super grateful to hear people having those conversations about being of service and seeing what they share with the world, being a sacred gift. There's a lot of ideas out there about what New Earth means. And to me, it's about our heart being centered on the highest benefit to humanity and to ourselves, and creating, divinely co-creating from that space and serving and sharing. And even your method, I can't remember the phrase, maybe you'll want to tell people on your website where you say that you, what is it? Activate, co-create,
and no, what is it? It is
beautiful.
Connect, co-create, and activate success.
I love this.
Into their business. Yes, that was divinely channeled. Yes.
And I want to, if you don't mind, let's play with that for a second. So when the divine gives you these phrases, not only does it most accurately describe what you're doing, what you're sharing, what you're being, what you're about, there are also steps to fill into, right? You're not overselling. I see this a lot, with people in business. They want to give everybody the dream and then some. And so sometimes they'll really over exaggerate or fluff. Yeah. And then the people that come in the door are like, wait a minute, what? That's not what it says out there, So I just, because you've channeled that in, you're true to its promise. And I just love, 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 love. So my business, New Earth, I just blinked because I was so excited about that. New Earth Magic School. Sorry.
Okay.
My business, New Earth Magic School, we have like different people that we serve in different ways, but no matter where you go, you're going to be receiving insights, divine sharing insights about New Earth, about building in your intuitive skills, and then expanding your services and business online. So you're going to see us establishing, which is right on our about page, New Earth cities and communities. That's the mission. That's the vision. So while I'm doing this tour or sharing these workshops, last night I did a live stream in our Facebook community. It's always toward the goal of establishing New Earth communities and cities, getting us to where we're being our own channel.
Yeah, and that beautiful ripple effect out into the world.
Yeah.
So with the gorgeous workshop series, the first part was about divine design. So we spoke about New Earth business templates, soul clients, and structure and strategy, but we did it in a New Earth sort of a business way. Not so there was lots of flow, there was lots of clearings, downloads, and activations in that recording, weren't there?
There were moments you were drumming and chanting and calling in the ancestors, and there was, I think I even went to tears one time because the ancestors were sharing that what was going to be created in the ripple effect were dreams that they had.
Yes. Oh, I've got all goosebumps. Yeah.
Sorry, I interrupted you.
And watch the series for myself, because I mean, doing it, being in it was magical enough, and I want to relive it.
Yeah. So I definitely feel like the workshop is something that you can immerse yourself in.
And with the structure and strategy, the way I always describe it is with structure of business, we need structure within our business. It has to work for us, has to work for our clientele, and it has to work for the business itself. A lot of people end up either being way too flexible, so it kind of it can't expand, or they're so rigid that it can break in other ways because there's no kind of flex in it. So I always kind of describe it as having a bamboo structure. So bamboo is like super, super strong, but it's flexible as well. Right. So it gives you that little bit of being able to shift and flow, but you've got structure around you. And I think it's much needed in the spiritual and health and wellness world, isn't it? If you want to be fully sustained by your business,
I think that's
that full-time kind of income and more.
I definitely feel like that's a great point that you're making, Jane. I think the spiritual community is made up of such an expansive group. Like, didn't you come from the corporate world?
I came from, I was in IT for about 8 years. Then I was in the London Ambulance Service for 11 years.
Right.
And I started my kind of holistic training at the end of my IT career. And I thought, yes, with the shift work and the kind of flexibility with hours within the ambulance service, I would be able to have a kind of full-time business as well. But like you can't do two things full time,
right? You can't be in two places at once.
No, you can't even do two part-time things really. And I was a single mum as well within that. There's only so many plates you can focus on and spin.
Yeah, so I love that we're, bridging the gap for the folks who might be coming from corporate and just a little bit too rigid, maybe a little too robotic
Yeah.
in their system structure and strategy, not allowing enough divine co-creation in there. And then for the other spectrum of our genre, you have the people who are like so flowy, so tuned into the artist or creative that they're not tied down by time or anything. And so, yeah, I really feel like what we've done is created this like beautiful marriage. You also honed in on something that I felt was so profound that I snipped it and put it on my YouTube channel. Because you hit the nail right on the head. It was something that you had channeled, so you might not even remember saying it, but you also talked about, and this is where I feel like our workshop provides the formula, a massive formula for this issue, is when people are used to getting a regular paycheck, you're used to like doing a certain amount of work and being compensated for it, and doing some work and being compensated for it. Entrepreneurship in this genre does not always work in that ideal format. And so, especially if we're like co-creating or channeling, outlining a beautiful concept from the divine, we have such magical, beautiful, magical thinkers in our field that they believe that if they build it, people will just come, that they don't even need to like announce it or talk about it or share it. And I love them, but this is a fallacy. And the point that you made was, okay, I created this thing. I'm not getting paid for it. Something must be wrong with it. I need to change it. And so before you know it, they're hopping from one thing to another. They're announcing 10 different solutions or offers that they're putting out there, and it leads to a lot of overwhelm, spin out, burnout, confusion. People don't know what you're actually, who you're helping, how you're supporting them. And I think we get right into the heart of providing solutions around those kind of issues as well in the workshop. So that means that our community is going to be better served, like nourished, resourced, which I'm so passionate about, us serving from an overflowing cup, so that really, I was like, yeah.
Yes. We dived into
Bless you.
Day 2, thank you. We dived into Day 2, which was all about the online world and sharing your magic and medicine online. That was a big day. And if you would like to shed some light on it, and why, for the listeners, why would they need to jump on this and come and tune in?
Yeah. So the divine showed me in 2019, the divine gave me this very like robust psychic surgery and training about these new earth frequencies and codes. And I have about 80 of them in my library that they've said, okay, this is the old earth standard. This is the way it's done in new earth. And it's a mind switch, a heart switch, an intentional switch, and then it's literally frequency, energy, medicine over these like 80 different areas. That material is inside Spirit Messenger Mastery. You and I plucked some of them out for the workshop. So some people will receive those like upgrades and training around how we operate in the new earth. Once I embodied that, the divine said, and was aiming to master it. And then the divine said, now we want you to pay attention to what you share online. Because we have the capacity to inspire and uplift and support people who are in our soul's family, whether they're paying or just participating. And, in some level, we have a responsibility for what we're putting out there, what we're nurturing. And this is where we can really create the world that we want to, that we aspire to be in, right? And so we can put our love out there, our frequencies that I like to call our soul codes out there, those things that we care a lot about. This is I consider our online space like a custodianship of who we are and what we're sharing and the culture and the environment. So I do consider it kind of like the office when I clock in, and I have a very well written description of the culture of my company. And I stick to that in the online space with what I'm selling, what I'm talking about, any post that I share. So I see it as a big, my soul's responsibility or duty to really consider what I'm sharing online. So I'm not sure if that's what you meant when you brought it up, but this was one of the things that the divine asked me to talk about when we did the workshop and help tune people into being more conscious of some people use social media like a diary. Some people use social media like a sounding board, and I've really dialed way back on doing that and really consider like whose heart am I touching and who am I speaking to and what am I talking about today, and does it line up with the beautiful, loving world I'm trying to create?
Yes. We had a gorgeous discussion, didn't we, about social media and the possible do's and don'ts of it, because whatever you put out there on the internet is there for life. You might delete it, but trust me, IT people can get it back. It's not gone.
Right. They'll find it. It's never gone. Yes. I love that you're mentioning that.
So that's that day. Also, we discussed that there's many gorgeous souls in the kind of health, wellness and spiritual sectors that are technophobes.
Oh, yes.
Or they feel that they're not good with technology. Technology doesn't like them, and all that kind of all those kind of stories. So we did. I channeled a magical clearing, and some activations, like downloads and activations, to help people like tech, enjoy tech, feel good at tech.
Technology is now my friend because
yes,
of that.
Technology is now my friend. And it was so good. And we've had so many, yourself included, like, oh, I used to not be able to do that. I can do this now. And, beautiful little success stories after that one.
Yeah, and I'm really grateful for that. Again, the people in our community, we have some that weigh very heavily in the like spiritual genre that technology tends to evade or elude them on how to perform it, or being overwhelmed by it or scared of it. And not only are you fantastic with the how-tos, but then you also supplied the medicine to help us get through the resistance or the fear, like jump over that to get into at least the trying stage.
The trying. Because even I, at many points, have wanted to throw my laptop out the window. So it is. It's super good to just be able to try and not have that stress attached to it. And we really broke down the things that you need that are a necessity for an online business, and then the nice twos, the things that perhaps you don't actually need in your business. Because again, it goes back to that structure. Knowing the structure of your business will then know, we'll be able to find out what technology you actually require in there to help you. And sometimes, you need all the things. At other times, it's just literally, you just need a couple of things. So we don't need to get overwhelmed.
I've noticed one of the other reasons I was so grateful that we did this workshop is I've known so many spirit messengers who have like perfected their spirit messenger skill set but they're not out there serving or delivering their magic formula because the tech is such a barrier. And I've seen some people even like sabotage their own success by going ahead and like signing up for all the things at one time and getting overwhelmed, or just not investing in an expert. Sometimes when we have such a like language barrier to technology, it's worth it to just spend the money. There are some people like you, like my husband, they're great for putting together the foundation and then handing you the how-to guide or video or the step-by-step to maintain it afterward. And so in the past, I've been the one to just invest in the support right up front, and then have that supportive person kind of help me understand the language and how things work. So I think our workshop gives both sides of that coin options.
Yes.
You know, I feel like you broke it down for the eager eagle who's ready to try it out and fly. And then if somebody's like, yep, I appreciate the tech, Jane, and I'm still just not feeling comfortable and confident enough, then you have a next level of support that you can provide them. So I feel like we gave everyone the best option with that conversation that day.
Yeah, I agree, definitely. Yeah. And from that kind of beautiful space, we moved on to launch with love, or another little phrase we had was simple, sexy sales.
Yeah.
Wasn't it? Yeah.
Simple, sexy, savvy sales. I think
savvy
so.
sales. Yes, that was it. So it was all about sharing your offers with love and not going into that old hard sell, that old kind of rigid way.
Or even hustle. Yeah.
Hustle. Yeah. Don't like that.
And my guides told me to use the word sexy, and I kind of want to, because we're mentioning it, I kind of want to approach it. Seduction is used quite frequently in our industry to lure people in and manipulate them to buy. And so the divine used that word, and I immediately was like, I don't know if I love it, because that's not the way I'm trained to be of service. And the divine said, it's the other side of sexy, where you're open, honest, you have true connection, and you're exploring intimate relationship. So this was about consent and transparency and having integrity and following through and following up and being completely honest. Like I said earlier, we're not over embellishing, we're not exaggerating, we're not trying to make it sound too good to be true. You're being real, and that's important in romance or in sexy sales. And the other reason that the divine pointed out is, what if I make a mistake? What if I make a mistake in somewhere in my teaching, my healing, my guidance, my onboarding system with you? I need our relationship to be comfortable enough to where I can look at you and say, I messed up. And for us to possibly recover, at least talk it out. And so that was another portion in that conversation that day that I felt, again, like it feels so needed. You know, we're saying a lot of things that needed to be said that are not being said in our industry. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It's almost like the word that's coming into my mind is tantric sales. And it is that conscious intimacy and connection and clear communication. Yeah. Because even I've seen posts recently about people putting just the one line of a success story, not the full. And the full story might give a slightly different overview than just the one amazing line.
Yeah.
So it's things like
seduction.
that. It's the seduction, and only like hiding the bits that perhaps you don't want to show. Whereas what we're talking about in New Earth, it's being transparent.
Fully transparent.
Mm.
All the fine print.
Yes.
Right out front. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't lure you in the door with like excitement or power, or you're going to miss out if you don't sign up, and then get you in the back room and say, okay, so I channel galactic beings. I don't do it that way. I'm cool, calm, and collected. I've got both feet on the ground on this planet. And I tell you right up front, I channel all manner of beings, galactic included. So if that is a put off for you, you can knock on somebody else's door who you are more comfortable with. But that's what our industry is, and even the culture, spiritual community culture is kind of rife with those kind of behaviors. And the formula for all of that is truth.
Yes. Yeah. Beautiful. Certainly is.
Yeah.
And with that said in mind, truth, the fourth part of our workshop series was about grounding into the business.
Yeah.
And you said, I've got both feet firmly planted on this beautiful earth, you know? So what does grounding into the business mean to you?
I love that question. I think it's the functioning day to day. And it starts with like what time I go to bed at night. I send myself to my husband's a night owl. I would love to sit on the couch with him till after midnight or 1 a.m. cuddling, watching movies. But I have a responsibility and a duty to serve, and my body functions, my Wi-Fi, my mental clarity functions better if I go to bed around 10:30. So I make that commitment every day. I'm up bright and early every morning. I'm following through on the appointments that I've made. I know what dollars are coming into the business, out of the business, and I'm paying attention to the integration and follow up for previous clients, my now clients, and the promotional creation or launching for future clients. I feel like I spread myself in equal parts in those areas, and I have tasks that keep me on target with all the goals in those areas. I already know what the next 3 to 5 objectives are, and I've got projects on the board. And the other level of that is the self-care to keep my frequency high, my calibration good. So I invest in self-care and hold myself accountable to all of that. So to me, that's what anchoring in the business is. I know what's going on in the back and in the front.
Yeah. And that's a perfect example. I know we spoke about on the workshop that I gave an example of like a couple of years ago, I wasn't very good at forward planning. So I always know what is coming up on my diary for the next 2 weeks. But to plan any further than that, I wasn't really doing. But you can't build and expand if you're only looking at the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, I know.
You know,
there's no sustainable.
No, you're on a treadmill. And it's more like work, really, isn't it? Like, you're on a treadmill. So to step back and look at the bigger picture, to look at the next 90 days, the next 6 months, the next year, it takes a lot of the stress out as well. If you actually just stop and take time to plan out what you and your business and the collaborations you're going to do, what's that going to look like for the next 12 months, and make sure it's a rolling 12 months. Don't wait till December to be planning your next year kind of thing. And this whole collaboration with you, Ty, was a beautiful acknowledgement of planning. Now, I thought I was quite good at planning, But Ty is really good at planning and forward thinking. You really are. It is a
Thank
joy
you.
to watch and be part of.
Yeah. Well, for me, those are the systems and structures that are going to support my clients best and also support me best. And I do, you've heard me say this before. I do go into the lab with my team between November and January every year. And I do draw out, what the goals are, what the projects are. And I channel a lot of that. I imagine a lot of that. And because it's a combination of channeling and imagination, I would say 75 to 80% of it comes to fruition in the 12-month timeline. I feel like the reason for me that that's so important, you remember when you gave us that awesome diagram in the workshop of the bubbles? There's the center bubble, and then there's all the branches. So for me, having that planning, it's making sure that everything connects. I'm not a throw spaghetti at the wall and see if this works. I don't go on social media and see someone talking about someone and be like, oh, I'm gonna create something to fix that. This isn't how
I see so much of that. Someone talking about something, and then all of the big names or whatever, they're all talking about the same thing the next day or that very day. Oh, it kind of cringy to me.
Yeah, it's almost like reading the news and then responding. And to me, divine co-creation doesn't work that way. If anything, I'm 3 steps ahead because the divine has either my soulmate avatar, which we dive into deeply through the workshop, is the soulmate avatar has told me miles ahead that they're needing a certain something, or the divine has said, we need you to teach or talk around this subject. So like for a while there, the divine was actually having me study and talk about and share about cults and culty behavior. And then our planet got real activated with cult-like stuff. And I had already been out there communicating about the signs and how to avoid it and how to be aware, like worshiping anyone can size you up to almost be a good mate for cult kind of things. So worshiping is something you want to try to weed out of your system. So when I do that, it helps me, that planning, it helps me do almost like your bubble system from the mission of the business, the vision of the business, and how everything connects and lines up. So I'm never sharing a talk, a workshop, anything. It all makes sense as to why I'm doing that thing. It all leads back to the same why.
Yeah. Congruency.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think if anybody looks at your websites, your school, your posts on social media, they can see that there is congruency throughout. You're not jumping on the bandwagon for whatever the new big thing is this month. Yeah. Which I love as well, because I now try to ignore the new big thing, whatever the coaches or whatever are saying. I'm like, oh, okay, look, you're all talking about that person or this word, normally high ticket or memberships or low tickets.
When I was little, I think I was about 10 years old. I grew up in Ohio. When I was about 10 years old, I made my first beach trip. And swam in Virginia Beach. And Virginia Beach is on the Atlantic. And so we have surfable waves there all the way down the coastline. And it was around 10 years old that I first started dialing into the feeling of riding a wave, of letting it kind of like, of going buoyant to where it didn't knock me over, didn't take me back to shore, but being able to bob and stay in that space. And I can't even tell you, from 2019 to 2023, how the divine would invoke that feeling for me and just tell me, like, stay steady, just ride that wave. I live at the beach, so I do this a lot in real life, not just the one time when I was 10.
I was just kind of tuning into that, thinking, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, because I do it physically in the sea. And to get that beautiful bobbing feeling, you have to be you have to read the waves. So again, it's about that looking forward, isn't it? Seeing,
knowing
looking
where
at the
you
bigger
are,
picture, knowing where you are, to get that beautiful, because sometimes I haven't quite done it and I've got completely dunked in that ocean.
So that's how that's kind of my metaphor for how I relate to the things that we may see percolating online or new trends coming out. I kind of check in with like body, heart, soul, divine support team, and kind of queue up, like, is this for me? You know, is this for me to get in this conversation, be a part of this conversation, take part of? A lot of times I just feel myself bobbing in there, riding the wave, letting it go through, and maintain course, maintain objective. And that really helps me a lot. I'm not sure how it would work for someone else. I just assume that the divine gives everyone a way to stay on course, to, you know, plug into their own personal like trajectory, and to just let the rest go on by or on around you, but not be taken over by it. The divine tells me this is like a level of mastery in our self-care when we're going through our ascension process, is being able to just let it go past us and not have it knock us over or feel like we're washed out.
Yes. Yeah. I like that. I like that analogy. As we're coming to the end of our beautiful hours session, have you got any advice or tips or guidance for the New Earth businesses out there listening?
I think it's important, again, to just kind of, how do you define it? And for me, defining New Earth business is where you're serving for the greatest good of humanity. And it's truly coming from a place of service, from your heart space. And the advice I would like to give is, whatever way like you're marketing and selling, if it doesn't feel good to you, if it doesn't feel right, if it feels off-putting in some way, fine tune it, find a mentor, find a workshop like ours. There are better options, and there are safe places for you to kind of open up your gifts, your talents, your services, your abilities, and not be of service in ways that feel out of integrity or slimy to you. You can earn money both ways, but which one are you going to feel better about at night?
Yes. Oh, I like that. Yeah. Which one are you going to wake up in the morning and be excited about and feel good about? Fulfilled. Yes. Yeah, definitely. So my last question always to guests is, do you have an offer for our audience?
Ours, of course.
Ours.
Yeah.
So we will put the link to sign up for the Build and Expand Your New Earth Business Workshop Series. We'll put it in above or below this, but also do tell us about your other offers, because you know, we've said I've got Illuminate in the background, and the Harmony Business Academy, and tell us about your other offers.
Yeah. So you're quite familiar with Spirit Messenger training. This helps
Yes.
empaths and intuitives become excellent divine communicators and gives you a bunch of like skill sets that you can put inside your offers to make them more fun and magical. And then the graduation beyond that is the Spirit Messenger Mastery that we've talked about a few times. It has that New Earth manual. This is how we do New Earth now. It's a very robust program inside of Spirit Messenger Mastery. If somebody dives into Spirit Messenger Mastery, they get everything that's in Spirit Messenger training. So you don't have to do either or. It's this and that. But it's definitely for a person who sees themselves as wanting to be a New Earth mentor. They want to be teaching, sharing, and talking about these new wavelengths and being a part of humanity's evolution and the shift. One of the great gifts about the workshop that you and I created, and I've told you this before, and I just feel like it bears repeating. I was walking beside mentoring people for several years, offering VIP days where I would go on Zoom and we would set up for multiple days, diving into their offers, their programs, their soulmate avatar. And that would start at $3,000. It was between $3,000 and $7,000, that offer to work with me one-on-one. And we've now compacted it, the majority of it, into this workshop that we're now selling for around $300. So to me, that feels like a no-brainer. But I would love to encourage anybody, if you would like to try what we're sharing on for size and you take part in that and you still feel like you would like my support, I'm happy to talk to anybody about adding on a VIP day where you take the nuts and bolts and the bones that you and I have provided in the blueprint, and I dive even further and even deeper with you on some of these areas, because the blueprint that we've given, it does require somebody to be able to tune in and to be able to channel. And some people like to just have that validation or that sounding board or that confirmation in another intuitive. And so I'm just still really excited about helping people build and expand and grow their businesses, whether it's in our offer or even one-to-one.
Yes. And something that's just pinged in my mind is many people think that they can't channel.
Yes. Tell them, Jane.
Like me. I did.
Jane.
And I really wanted to. And I went through the Spirit Messenger training. And I tried out lots of different, this is part of the training, trying out lots of different ways of channeling. And mine came through with one that I didn't want to try, which was like, come on now, this is getting ridiculous. So it was with crystals, and turns out I can channel really well with holding crystals or
paragraphs of information.
Yes, just it comes through. And with cards as well, cards, angel cards, oracle cards, it just flows through. So when you go through the Build and Expand Your New Earth Biz workshop, if you watch, if you tune in, if you do the meditations with us, just trust and believe and be open to messages coming through to you, because there was many people on there that said, I can't channel. Every single person got messages through in different ways. You know, it could be they just wrote it. It could be a knowing. It could be a vision.
Or it came after a few days after the activations. Yeah. In the workbook that we put together, it gave everyone the prompts. So even if you don't get it right in that moment, you could go back to it after a few days.
Yeah, definitely. So trust, believe, and I mean, there's a whole program. Ty's got a whole program. If you really, nothing comes through, there's a whole program on how to learn how to be a divine channel.
I'm so glad you signed up for that. You were so ready for it. And if I could just plug this thing about spirit messengers, potential spirit messengers. I have always said that if you're the type of person that enjoys receiving guidance and insight, you're the type of person who loves getting a psychic reading, like you think it's fun, you might want to onboard this kind of training for yourself, because it's obviously of interest to you for some reason. And a lot of people push it away, like, I don't know, because we're told that it's a specialty and only you have it, or I don't, or
yes.
I don't subscribe to that philosophy. You're right. It's each person has a way, and it's about exposing yourself to enough modalities and differences that you find your way. And you did mention the crystals and you did mention the oracle cards, but Jane, I've seen you channel straight channel.
Yes.
You had a desire many years ago. I want to channel like Ty does, which always makes me giggle, because I sat next to you in that workshop and it was flowing and going from messages to activations. You do channel exactly like, I mean, pretty much like I do. So well done.
I got my wish.
Yeah, you got your wings and your wish.
Yes. Wings and wish. Yes. Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure to interview you today, Ty.
Thank you.
So how can people get hold of you?
Yeah, www.newearthmagicschool.com. I'm on Facebook as Ty Gold Alchemist. And yeah, between primarily those two spaces or arenas, you can reach out to me and say hello. I have a beautiful YouTube channel, I'd just like to say, I've created tons of content, and I have all these beautiful videos for the healer, for the empath, for the psychic, and for healers in biz and New Earth trainings. So if anybody wants to look that up, that's on YouTube at Ty Gold Alchemist, and I'm adding to it almost every Tuesday. We upload a new video. So
yeah,
brilliant.
And I can vouch that those videos on YouTube and in your Facebook group, there, you can feel the activations and the clearings. So definitely get yourself over there. And all the details will be above or below this, depending on if you are watching or listening. And if you're listening to the live on Mintwave Radio, then just search for Ty Gold Alchemist and Ty Gold New Earth Magic School.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Stay Sane with Jane, the show that helps you and your business to thrive, not just survive. Tune in each week as Jane connects with guests in the wellness, business and publishing worlds, bringing you the most up-to-date training, techniques, healing and guidance for growth, mindset and motivation. Each